among the 800 mammal species in the subfamily Caprinae. Yet it makes up less than 0.01% of the world's mammal diversity. With a pair of spiral horns that twist like a labyrinth through time. Stay tuned, all 8 wild sheep species and their curling horns. Sheep species technically belong to the genus Ovis. They carry unique biological traits that suit life in high mountain regions. Flexible cloven hooves built for climbing steep rocky cliffs, an impressive ability to survive with limited access to water and food, and a thick coat perfectly adapted to cold climates. But in this video, you'll see more than 2 species that are not part of the Ovis genus, yet are still commonly called sheep. Watch until the end to decide for yourself what the most accurate classification might be. Originating from the Central Asian Plateau, the ancestors of North American sheep migrated from Siberia across the Bering Land Bridge during the Ice Age. This long period of isolation eventually gave rise to 2 unique native species, the Bighorn sheep and the Dall sheep. Bighorn sheep range from southwestern Canada all the way down to Mexico, named after the large, dramatically curved horns of the males, known as rams. They're famous for their head-to-head clashes during the rutting season, when massive sets of horns collide at impact speeds over 30 kilometers per hour. Both rams and ewes have horns, but the horns of ewes are usually shorter and straighter. A ram's horns can weigh up to 14 kilograms, roughly the same as the weight of the ram's entire skeleton. These horns are made up of a large bony core, horn and frontal sinuses, and internal bony partitions that function like built-in shock absorbers to protect the brain during intense headbutting contests. Bighorn sheep thrive in high mountain grasslands, open prairie, talus slopes, rocky outcrops, cliffs, river corridors, and adjacent mesas. They rarely stray more than 400 meters from the safety of rugged cliff faces. They prefer dry slopes with little snow, where winds help melt snow, or south-facing hillsides that capture warmth. To avoid deep snow cover, they often choose slopes that receive less than about 150 centimeters of snow each year. As one of North America's iconic wild symbols, Bighorn sheep are divided into 3 distinct subspecies. The Rocky Mountain Bighorn sheep is known for the tightly curled, massive horns of its rams. They live in the Rocky Mountains across British Columbia, Alberta, and the western United States down to New Mexico. In New Mexico, the species had vanished by the early 1900s, but was later restored. As of 2023, an estimated 1,565 individuals were spread across 11 herds. A Rocky Mountain ram can weigh over 230 kilograms, while females can exceed 90 kilograms. The Sierra Nevada Bighorn sheep, formerly known as the California Bighorn, is found only in California's Sierra Nevada range. Their population had rebounded impressively to nearly 700 individuals in 2016, but by 2023, numbers had dropped to around 300. This decline was largely due to increased predation by mountain lions in harsh, snowy winters. The third subspecies, the desert bighorn sheep, inhabits the desert regions of the southwestern United States and northwestern Mexico. Their horns tend to be longer, but moderately sized overall, sometimes curling tightly near the face or flaring outward, a striking variation from individual to individual. True to their name, desert bighorns are specially adapted to hot, arid environments. They can safely tolerate fluctuations in body temperature by a few degrees, helping them endure scorching summer days and chilly winter nights. They can go 3 to 7 days without drinking water by drawing moisture from food, and during prolonged dry spells, they may even go months without a direct water source. The remaining wild sheep species in North America is the thinhorn sheep, also known as the Dall sheep, a symbol of wilderness across northwestern North America. They're called thinhorn sheep mainly because of their distinctively slender horn structure. This species has 2 well-recognized subspecies. Dall sheep is the classic form, known for its ivory white coat, which can grow over 5 centimeters thick in winter. Their coat features a dense underlayer of fine wool and an outer layer of hollow, coarse guard hairs. The second subspecies is the stone sheep, with darker shades ranging from coal black to light gray or salt and pepper brown. They have paler faces, a white patch on the rump, white on the backs of their legs, and a black tail. The farther north an individual lives, the whiter it tends to be, while sheep in southern areas often take on darker brown or nearly black tones. Originally, classification was based on coat color. However, it was later discovered that complete interbreeding occurs between the two groups. Individuals with intermediate coloring are called Fannin sheep, once considered a distinct subspecies, but genetic studies confirm that Fannin sheep are actually hybrids, with a genetic background primarily from Dall sheep. This species is found throughout Alaska, the Yukon Territory, British Columbia, and the Northwest Territories. They prefer to live high on mountain slopes, above the timberline, where dry meadows meet steep rocky faces, with nearby cliffs and craggy outcrops offering quick escape from threats. Faced with predators like wolves, golden eagles, bears, mountain lions, and humans, ewes often choose steep, rugged terrain as a safe place to give birth. Natural-born climbers, Dall sheep move confidently through rough terrain thanks to their remarkable speed and agility. Their white coats help them blend into snowy landscapes during winter, offering added protection from predators. They migrate seasonally between traditional summer and winter ranges in search of richer food sources. However, when spring arrives late, population numbers and reproductive success can be affected. Some herds have survived despite losing their migratory patterns, relying instead on adaptive strategies to locate alternative food sources. Their diet mainly consists of grasses, sedges, and seasonal shrubs like dwarf willows. In winter, when food is scarce, lichens and mosses become critical supplements, especially in windswept areas where the snow has been cleared. During harsh winters, adult sheep may lose up to 16% of their body weight. Lambs and yearlings can lose as much as 40%, depending on the severity of the season. Many herds also make long treks in spring to visit mineral licks, walking several miles to lick the soil in these areas. Minerals like sodium, calcium, iron, phosphorus, zinc, and other trace elements found there are vital for bone growth, muscle development, and various biological processes. The horns of Dall sheep begin to grow at around 2 months of age. Ewes grow short, slim, straight horns typically under 30 centimeters long. Rams develop massive curled horns, which can take up to 8 years to complete a full spiral. The horns of rams display dark rings called annuli, which are used to estimate age based on the number of winters they've lived through. Unlike species whose horns are shed seasonally, these horns stay with the sheep for life and serve as their primary weapons in battles for dominance. Moving into Asia, the diversity of the genus Ovis reaches its peak, both in the number of species and in genetic variation. Both bighorn and thinhorn sheep are the closest living relatives of the snow sheep. Based on mitochondrial cytochrome B gene sequences, all 3 species fall under the Pachyseriform group. The genetic divergence between snow sheep and North American sheep occurred around 600,000 years ago, making snow sheep a genetic bridge between Asian and North American wild sheep. Snow sheep horns typically measure between 69 and 93 centimeters in length, and very rarely exceed 101.6 centimeters. The average horn base circumference is about 34.4 centimeters. Among subspecies, the Kamchatka population holds the record for the thickest base and longest horn length, reaching up to 111.8 centimeters. Their coat darkens after summer, gradually lightens through the long winter, and turns a pale grayish-white after molting in spring. Coat color also varies by age and habitat. They inhabit rugged terrain ranging from sea level up to over 1,800 meters in elevation. Preferred habitats include coastal cliffs, steep river valleys, tundra, northern mixed forests, and low mountain ranges. Winter temperatures can plummet to minus 60 degrees Celsius, demanding extreme physiological and behavioral adaptation. Their distribution covers at least 500,000 square kilometers, stretching from central and southeastern Siberia to Kamchatka and Chukotka. The Putarana population is completely isolated in the Putaran Mountains, over 1,000 kilometers away from the nearest other population. Snow sheep often form large groups, typically separated by sex. Hues give birth to a single lamb in spring, choosing steep terrain for added protection. About a week after birth, the ewe and her lamb join a nursery group made up of other ewes and lambs, improving the young one's chances of survival. Even so, lamb mortality in the first year can range from 30 to 50%. Their primary predator is the gray wolf. They also face predation from wolverines, brown bears, Eurasian lynx, and various raptor species. Next on the list is the mouflon, the smallest wild sheep species in the genus Ovis, with an average weight ranging from just 25 to 55 kilograms. During the Neolithic period, mouflon were brought by humans to islands such as Corsica, Sardinia, and Rhodes in a semi-domesticated state. Over time, they gradually returned to the wild and have lived as stable wild populations in the mountainous interiors of these islands for thousands of years. Mouflon have a compact build, with short, sturdy legs well-suited for agile movement across rugged, rocky mountain terrain. Both males and some females grow horns, but the male's horns are notably more developed. Their horns have a distinctive spiral shape, growing up to 85 centimeters in length, curling almost into a full circle. The horns have a rounded cross-section and lack the flared tips seen in larger wild sheep species. Male mouflon use their horns in head-to-head clashes during the breeding season, a behavior used to establish dominance and mating rights. After each bout, a social hierarchy is set, playing a key role in the herd's structure. Mouflon prefer high, rocky, semi-arid hills or grassy steppes, where rough terrain offers a means of escape from predators. In summer, they move to elevations near permanent snowfields. In winter, they descend to lower valleys. In introduced regions across Central and Northern Europe, mouflon can adapt to deciduous and mixed forests in lowlands, but still favor dry, rocky ground. Historically, mouflon once had a natural range extending into Anatolia, Crimea, and the Balkans. Around 3,000 years ago, their range contracted due to climate change and human pressure. In modern times, however, mouflon have been reintroduced across Europe and are now present in countries such as France, Germany, Spain, Italy, Switzerland, Austria, the Czech Republic, Poland, and several Nordic nations. They've also been successfully introduced outside Europe, in places like Texas and Washington State in North America, on islands in Hawaii, and even in remote locations such as the Kerguelen Islands in the southern Indian Ocean. And the Cyprus mouflon, also known as agrino, is a subspecies endemic to Cyprus. Once nearly extinct in the 20th century, they have made a comeback thanks to conservation programs and now number around 3,000 individuals. The Cyprus mouflon is currently listed as endangered by the International Union for Conservation of Nature and is under strict protection by the European Union and the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora. The European mouflon was once considered a distinct subspecies of mouflon. However, today, it is recognized as the direct feral descendant of early domesticated sheep populations. Their presence on Corsica and Sardinia around 7,000 years ago is likely linked to human migration and the spread of agriculture during the Neolithic era. The domestication of sheep began between 11,000 and 8,000 years before the Common Era in the Mesopotamian region, often considered the cradle of farming and animal husbandry. The area now known as Iran has been identified as the primary geographic center of this domestication process. Modern genetic studies show that most present-day domestic sheep breeds are descended from the Asian mouflon. With a manageable body size, relatively calm temperament, strong flocking behavior, high fertility, and early sexual maturity, mouflon were an ideal choice for ancient farmers. Initially, sheep were raised for meat, hides, and milk. By around 6,000 years before the Common Era, archaeological evidence from Iran indicates that humans began selectively breeding sheep for longer wool, more suitable for spinning and weaving. Today, domestic sheep are fully domesticated animals, relying on humans for nearly all aspects of survival, from reproduction and nutrition to protection from predators. Like wild sheep, domestic sheep are highly social animals. They live in flocks with structured social organization, where individuals tend to follow a leader and form lasting bonds with group members. Sheep also possess remarkable social memory. They can recognize and remember human faces and those of fellow sheep for over 2 years, and they're capable of learning and recalling complex movement routes that they've traveled hundreds of times, even in challenging environments. Returning to the wild sheep species, we come to the urial of Central and South Asia, a species that serves as a genetic and geographic bridge between the sheep of Europe and Asia. Urial are well adapted to gently sloping hillsides, semi-arid grasslands, open woodlands, and occasionally valleys dotted with deciduous coniferous forests. Currently, 6 subspecies of urial are recognized. The Ladakh urial is the smallest and least studied subspecies, found in the high valleys of Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan. The Trans-Caspian urial inhabits the Ustyurt Plateau across Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Iran, and Kazakhstan. The Baluchistan urial, also known as Blamford's urial, is primarily found in the Balochistan province of Pakistan. The Bukhara urial and Afghan urial are scattered throughout the southern mountain regions of Central Asia. Finally, the Punjab urial, recognized as the provincial animal symbol of Punjab. This subspecies faces severe habitat fragmentation and is at high risk of extinction. The next and final member of the genus Ovis is the argali, also known as the mountain sheep. This is the largest wild sheep species on Earth. Rams typically weigh between 97 and 328 kilograms, with some individuals surpassing 350 kilograms. Their horns spiral outward with rounded fighting edges, built for intense power struggles among males during the breeding season. In contrast, the horns of females are smaller, slimmer, and less curved. Argali are native to the high altitude and semi-arid mountain regions of Central Asia, with deep ancestral ties to ancient sheep species that once ranged from Siberia to Tibet. They favor open, gently sloping terrain, landscapes that offer wide visibility to spot potential threats, while still providing enough vegetation for grazing. In summer, they often move to higher elevations to find fresh, tender grasses. By winter, they avoid deep snow by selecting windswept slopes where the vegetation below is exposed. Argali feed on grasses from the pothee family, and other herbaceous plants, though they are specialized grazers. They're capable of digesting dry or scattered vegetation on rocky mountain slopes. This is made possible by the 4-chambered stomach structure, typical of ruminants, allowing them to extract maximum nutrients from low-energy forage. Currently, 9 subspecies of argali are recognized, mostly distributed across the Altai, Tian Shan, Pamir, and Himalayan mountain ranges, at elevations ranging from 1,000 to 6,000 meters above sea level. Outside the genus Ovis, the Bighorn is a species often debated in terms of classification. Commonly known as blue sheep, they resemble true sheep in appearance, but belong to the genus Pseudoe and are genetically closer to goats in the genus Capra. The name blue sheep refers to their gray-blue coat, which helps them blend into rocky mountain landscapes. This color comes from microscopic structures in the hairs that scatter light, varying with age, sex, and lighting. Adults weigh between 35 and 75 kilograms. Both sexes have horns, but males grow large, curved horns up to 80 centimeters long. They live at elevations of 3,000 to 5,500 meters across Pakistan, India, Nepal, Bhutan, Myanmar, and Western China. Baral prefers steep rocky slopes, alpine grasslands, and cliffs, habitats with sparse but sufficient vegetation. They are a key mountain species and a vital prey animal for the endangered snow leopard. A similar case to the Baral is the Barbary sheep of Africa, also known as the Aoudad. This is the only species in the genus Ammotragus, a group entirely distinct from both Ovis and Capra. Its scientific name, Ammotragus lurvia, comes from Greek, amos meaning sand and tragos meaning goat, reflecting both its sandy-colored coat and its intermediate appearance between sheep and goats. Barbary sheep are native to the arid mountain ranges of North and West Africa, from the Sahara to the Red Sea region in eastern Sudan. They inhabit steep, rugged terrain at elevations ranging from 500 to over 2,000 meters, where vegetation is sparse. They've adapted well to dry environments, absorbing moisture from plants and surviving long periods without surface water. Still, when available, they will drink and even bathe, showing behavioral flexibility. Mostly nocturnal or active during early mornings and late afternoons, Barbary sheep are remarkably agile and can leap over 2 meters high, an ability that allows them to navigate cliffs, canyons, and steep slopes with ease. When threatened, they use their rock-colored coats for camouflage and escape to high, inaccessible areas, a classic mountain survival tactic. Both males and females grow horns. Their horns curve outward and then spiral inward with a triangular cross-section and relatively smooth surface. Mature males can grow horns up to 76 centimeters long, used in mating displays and social rank disputes. A distinctive feature is the long, shaggy beard that hangs from the throat down to the chest and front legs, especially prominent in males. Nursery groups become more common during the birthing season. Mixed groups are mostly observed during the mating season. This social system helps optimize breeding strategies while also offering protection for lambs from predators. And that wraps up the 6 wild sheep species, along with 2 others often considered sheep. So which one do you think has the most impressive horns? Is it the Marco Polo sheep, with spiraling horns that can reach over 190 centimeters in length? Or the Bighorn sheep, whose powerful head-to-head clashes can reach impact speeds over 30 kilometers per hour? Drop a comment with your thoughts, follow the channel, and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next exciting episode.